Hey guys, Michael here. Hope that you're all doing great today. So there has been an interesting shift for me when it comes to one of the factions in this game. There's a faction that I used to be fairly meh on. I tried them a few times. I was not particularly impressed with them, but apologies for those of you who want me to immediately cut to the chase and tell you right away who it is, because the writer in me feels like there's a need to build up a little bit of suspense here. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a few hints, and maybe I'll go ahead and put a bookmark in the, or I should say a timestamp in the video, so if you want to jump ahead and just see who it is, you don't have to listen to this. But I'm going to give a few hints for those of you who have been around the channel for a while and kind of know what I like and what I don't like. I want to see if you guys can guess. So there's a faction that was kind of neglected for a long time. There's been some modders who have given it some love and made it kind of have definitely, you know, added some spice to it. But it definitely had been neglected by CA for a long time until recently they've started to do some things for it. And I'm not going to say what exactly I mean by recently, maybe in the last year or so. Also, it is a faction that has some really kind of unique mechanics. I won't say they're completely unique. They're similar to how one or two of the, well, one in particular of the other factions does, for example, its recruiting. Another hint would be that I recently did a Let's Play with one of the factions using some mods that were specific to this faction, but I ended up having to terminate that Let's Play early because of an update that Creative Assembly did. And my final clue is going to be that it has one of the coolest cinematic trailers introductions to the race of any of the factions, which you will see here in a moment when I give the big reveal. Oh yeah, and it also has some very cool lore for those of you who care about such things. So yeah, don't want to forget about that. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and show the cinematic as the reveal, and then I'm going to talk some more about why exactly I like these guys so much all of a sudden.
True king will show them. We do not serve. We rule.
Okay, so now let me talk about some of the reasons why I really like these guys. And again, I don't know why it took me so long to come around to liking them, but I do think that the rework that was done recently probably really did vastly improve them. But in general, I'm a big fan of the factions that have multiple types of currency where you have to make meaningful choices on how to spend that currency. And I do really think that the changes that they made with the canopic jars goes a long way towards doing that for these guys. So for example, you've got very much similar to the Oath Gold for the dwarfs, you've got all of these different things that you can purchase with your canopic jars. And so there's always something to strive for. And I want to emphasize that because I think that's a really important point, is that there's always something to keep striving for in a Tomb Kings campaign. They've got some of what looked to me like really the strongest commandments in the game. Okay, maybe you're thinking, big deal, the commandments are strong, but I mean, look at some of these things. Casualty replenishment rate plus 20%. Recruit rank plus 1 as well, so that's obviously quite good. Your ambush increase, your melee defense boost, your control and corruption, and your growth, and a campaign movement range boost. So and of course you've got your construction cost and income from all buildings, which is a fairly standard one. But anyway, these are some pretty strong commandments across the board that I quite like. You've got the benefit of these decrees, which are very similar to like the Dark Elves with their sacrificing of slaves that can do different things. Now they're maybe not quite as powerful as the Dark Elves ones are, but they're still quite nice to have. One of the really nice things is that you can speed up your research rate a little bit. So like if we take a look at this, one of the things that always kind of turned me off about the Lizardmen, about the Tomb Kings, is how your research rate gets slowed down the further you go. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I understood why it worked, and I liked the mechanic of having to choose between, do I want more armies or and risk slowing down my research, or do I want to continue to do my research as quickly as possible but have fewer armies? So I like that aspect of it, but it did feel very punishing before, and it just doesn't feel as punishing anymore. Now I think it's balanced quite nicely. You've got pretty strong traits overall for your lords, not so much your legendary lords. Like I wanted to play a Khalida campaign because I had heard that Khalida is quite difficult, and I will admit that I've struggled a little bit with her when I played her in the past, but it had been a very long time since I had played her. I'm not going to argue that she's a great legendary lord, but she's got some nice abilities here. But like these Tomb Princes are quite good. Some of them have some really interesting traits that I quite like. And then, of course, your Tomb Kings have some really nice skills to choose from as well. So there's really a lot to like from that respect. And then, of course, on top of that, you can unlock additional ones, if I can find the right place here, with the technology, for example. So you get some special characters here from, through the research tree, which I really like. The recruitment is, of course, very, very nice. I like that it's limited in the early going, but it just is so liberating to not have to pay upkeep for your units. And so when you recruit a new army, you can just keep load it up and automatically build a 20 stack as quickly as possible. Right now I'm only running around with 2 armies in this campaign because that's been enough, and I've wanted to do all the research as quickly as I could over here before unlocking the 3rd army. But we're running around with a mix of kind of low tier and better units, but I actually have quite a few more that are available to me. And so as soon as I get that 3rd army up, I'm just going to be able to stock it with some really good units as well. Anyway, all these things feel really, really nice, but at the same time, it doesn't feel overpowered. I don't think you could argue that the Tomb Kings are an overpowered faction, so the campaigns still feel fairly challenging, although there does feel like a little bit of a build-up where the longer you go in the campaign, that the easier it gets. But honestly, that's fairly normal for Warhammer 3. So Anyway, I just wanted to share my thoughts. Hang on a second, I'm going to cough. Sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts on these guys. If you're anything like me, where you really kind of played them before and were kind of meh on them, definitely give them another chance, because there's an awful lot to like here. It's a pretty interesting campaign overall. I'm looking forward to going through and trying all of the different legendary lords for the Tomb Kings, and quite frankly, I'll probably try some of them in using like the Hecleus Grand Strategy mod, and maybe a couple of others as well. Maybe try to mix in one or two of the mods that specialize in just adding things for the Tomb Kings to see what they're like as well. But yeah, this has very, very quickly climbed my rankings in terms of becoming one of my favorite factions to play. All right, I'll go ahead and leave it there, but I do welcome your feedback as always. So thanks everybody so much for watching and listening, and I will see you all in the next video.